recording. So hello everyone. Today we are going to cover the topic how do we communicate between two Lightning Web components which are not related to each other or not in the direct relationship. So this is going to cover the communication between two unrelated components. Okay, we will take a very simple example. We will create two Lightning Web components. One will be the publisher component, the other one will be the subscriber component, and then we will pass a message from the publisher to the subscriber, and we will be using Lightning message services to accomplish this. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover in the part one. Let me open the Lightning Studio. Okay, so till now we have created many components for the communication, but for this particular use case, we need to create a Lightning message channel first. Okay, because all the communication through Lightning message services requires you to create a Lightning messaging channel. So in this Lightning Studio, we have that option to create a Lightning message channel, and we can create. So if you click on this one, the fourth option, you will see that create Lightning message channel option is available. Okay, and you can name it anything. For now, I'm going to name it sample message channel, and you can create a field inside it, which field you will be using to communicate data. So I'm going to name it a simple message field, and description I can write this is a message field to communicate between two unrelated components. Okay, and is exposed is true. The name of our channel is sample message channel, and I will just click on deploy. This will create an meta XML file for you, and you can directly create this file as well. If you are doing it in the VS Code, you can directly create a sample message channel inside the Lightning message channel folder. So this is something which you can directly create and copy paste the code as well. Salesforce has also provided you to do this. Just remember the name of our channel is sample message channel, and the field we have created is message field. That's it. And we will explain this. We will cover this later if there is any doubt. Now, this is just the first part. We need to create it, and this message channel need to be imported on the publisher as well as on the subscriber. So when we create our Lightning Web component, we will need to import this message, import this channel as well. So we will see how we do that. Now, what is we are going to do, we will have two components. One will be the publisher component, the other one will be the subscriber component. Publisher component will publish a method and subscriber will subscribe to it. And both of these components will not related to each other. They will not be in the hierarchy like one inside the other or the other inside the first one. They will be unrelated components, but one will be publishing, and the one who is publishing will not tell that who is going to receive that. So anybody can subscribe for that. Okay, unrelated components. So let us first create a publisher component. The demo is basically just to show you that this is easily possible. And if you get this question in an interview, you should have more confidence when you say that, yes, we can talk with the help of Lightning message channel. And you will also have the information about what you need to import and how you need to import and all. So if you get a cross question related to this topic in an interview, if you have seen all these things, you will be able to explain those things properly. That's the whole purpose of this demo. Otherwise, I would have avoided this topic because this is a bit complex, plus this will take some time. So I could have easily covered just the questions, but I want you guys to know this because this is an important topic. So I'm going to expose this on the home page, not on the record page. Let's deploy this. We have got the publisher component. We have got the publisher component JS. Let's create one subscriber component. Okay. And similar to this will also be on home page. Right. So far, so good. Let me just add a lightning card. And I will call it publisher component. And similar to this, I will call this subscriber component. Okay. Now our task is to pass a message from the publisher component to the subscriber component. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a lightning input field. Okay, and let's label it as enter message to pass. Okay, and on change of it, we will have the on change handler. Okay, this is just the input field we have created on the publisher component so that we can provide the input, and when we will send it, on the click of a button. So we will create a lightning button and we will name it as publish data. All right, on click is, let's call it publish handler. Now in the JavaScript of this, we need to create the these handlers and the data. Okay, so first we will create a property and we'll name it data to send. Okay, and we will have to create the change handler. We will also need to create the publish handler. All right, we save this. Okay.
हेलो सर. हेलो सर.
Yep. Hi.
हेलो सर. इस इवेंट को क्या बोलेंगे सर? मतलब बबलिंग बोलेंगे यार कैप्चरिंग बोलेंगे मतलब?
देखो ये एक तरह से, अभी देखो इसमें ना कंपोनेंट्स एक हायरार्की में नहीं है, ठीक है। बबलिंग तब होती है जब कंपोनेंट्स एक हायरार्की में होते हैं। बबलिंग या कैप्चरिंग तब होती है ना जब कंपोनेंट एक स्ट्रक्चर में होते हैं कि कौन सा पेरेंट है कौन सा चाइल्ड है, क्योंकि चाइल्ड से बबल होकर के चीजें ऊपर जाती हैं उसी हायरार्की में। बट यहाँ पे क्या है ना कि जो दो कंपोनेंट्स हैं वो अनरिलेटेड है, वो एक तरह से एक दूसरे की हायरार्की में है ही नहीं, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा, जो पब्लिशर है वो पब्लिश करेगा और जो भी सब्सक्राइबर उसको सब्सक्राइब करेगा उसकी कुछ कंडीशंस हैं कि वो चीजें होनी चाहिए। अगर वो सब्सक्राइब करता है तो वो अनरिलेटेड भी है अगर एक दूसरे से, तो भी वो एक दूसरे से कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं। तो ना ये बबलिंग है ना ये कैप्चरिंग है, ठीक है। यहाँ पे एक ने पब्लिश किया और एक ने सब्सक्राइब किया, वो दोनों अलग एंटिटी है, ठीक है। अभी तो ये लाइटिंग वेब कॉम्पोनेंट है, इनमें ये भी हो सकता है कि सब्सक्राइबर आपका वीएफ पेज हो, ठीक है। तो वो हायरार्की वाली चीज ही नहीं है, ना ये इवेंट बबलिंग है ना ये कैप्चरिंग है, ठीक है। ये सिंपल पब्लिश एंड सब्सक्राइब मॉडल है जहाँ पे एक पब्लिशर और सब्सक्राइबर एक दूसरे से डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड है ही नहीं, डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड है ही नहीं, ठीक है।
यस.
बट वो एक ही
तो
पेज में होने चाहिए, समझे?
या
मतलब
यस.
अगर पब्लिशर आपका लेट से अकाउंट के रिकॉर्ड पेज में है और आपका सब्सक्राइबर कॉन्टैक्ट के रिकॉर्ड पेज में है, तो ये काम नहीं करेगा। दोनों एक ही होम पेज में है तो वो काम करेगा, ठीक है।
यस.
ये याद रखना बस हमेशा,
ठीक.
ठीक है। पहले इसका स्ट्रक्चर पूरा बना लेते हैं अच्छे से, देन इसको एक्सप्लेन करते हैं। ठीक है, अभी तक तो जो भी हमने किया है वो उसमें एक्सप्लेन करने जैसा कुछ है नहीं, क्योंकि हम लोग पहले से ही ये कर चुके हैं। ओके, अभी देखो ऑन चेंज पे चेंज हैंडलर कॉल होगा। चेंज हैंडलर में हम लोग क्या करेंगे, कुछ भी नहीं, दिस डॉट डेटा टू
वो
सेंड।
थोड़ा जूम कर दो स्क्रीन को, जूम डिफाइन।
ओके ठीक है, अभी बेटर है।
हाँ बेटा।
वैल्यू, ठीक है, तो जब भी यहाँ पे इनपुट चेंज होगा तो हमारा वेरिएबल की वैल्यू भी चेंज हो जाएगी। ठीक, एंड पब्लिश हैंडलर में क्या करेंगे, पब्लिश हैंडलर में हम लोग डेटा को पब्लिश करेंगे। अब आते हैं डेटा वाले पार्ट पे कि करना क्या है। इसी तरह से सब्सक्राइबर में हम लोग क्या करते हैं, सब्सक्राइबर में एक वेरिएबल बना लेते हैं। लेट्स से हम इसको नाम देते हैं डेटा, डेटा रिसीव्ड, और यहाँ पे एक पी टैग बना लेते हैं जो आपको डेटा, दिस इज द डेटा रिसीव्ड, यहाँ पे इसको वैल्यू दे देते हैं डेटा रिसीव्ड की। अपने पी टैग को क्लोज कर देते हैं, सेव कर देते हैं। ठीक, अभी तक जो कुछ भी हुआ वो बहुत ही नॉर्मल था, हम लोग हमेशा से करते आ रहे हैं। अब आते हैं मेन चीज में कि लाइटिंग मैसेज चैनल का पार्ट कहाँ पे आता है। तो सबसे पहले हमें इंपोर्ट क्या क्या करना है। हमने अभी तक सिर्फ लाइटिंग मैसेज चैनल बनाया है, जो जो हम लोगों को नहीं पता था। देन अब हमारे पास पब्लिशर और सब्सक्राइबर दोनों में हमें इस चैनल को इंपोर्ट करना पड़ेगा सबसे पहले। ठीक है, तो सबसे पहले हम इसे इंपोर्ट कर लेते हैं। इंपोर्ट, हमारे चैनल का नाम था सैम्पल मैसेज चैनल। ओके, सैम्पल मैसेज चैनल फ्रॉम, ये कहाँ से आएगा, @salesforce स्लैश मैसेज चैनल स्लैश, जो आपके चैनल का नेम था, __ सी। ऐसे आप अपने मैसेज चैनल को इंपोर्ट करते हो। ठीक है, जो भी आपने मैसेज चैनल बनाया है उसको आपको ऐसे इंपोर्ट करना है, @salesforce स्लैश मैसेज चैनल, क्योंकि ये फोल्डर नेम है। एंड देन ये आपका जो मैसेज चैनल बना है उसका एपीआई नेम, यहाँ पे उसका नेम आता है लेबल, और यहाँ पे उसका एपीआई नेम आता है। ठीक है, ये हो गई पहली चीज। दिस इज द फर्स्ट थिंग यू नीड टू इम्पोर्ट। द अदर थिंग विच यू नीड टू इम्पोर्ट इज, you have to import, because this is a publisher component, you have to publish this, so you need to import publish plus message context from lightning slash message service। okay, यहाँ पे हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, मैसेज कंटेक्स्ट और पब्लिश ये दोनों ही एक तरह से मेथड्स लिखे हुए हैं मैसेज सर्विसेज क्लास में, जो कि मतलब लाइटनिंग मॉड्यूल के अंदर लिखी हुई है। इससे क्या होता है, मैसेज कंटेक्स्ट क्या करता है, मैसेज कंटेक्स्ट कंटेन्स द इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट ऑल द लाइटनिंग मैसेज चैनल्स जो आपके और में यूज हो रहे हैं, कौन उसका पब्लिशर है, कौन उसका सब्सक्राइबर है। तो आपको ये इंफॉर्मेशन यहाँ पे वायर करनी होती है, ताकि जो आपका ये आपका कंपोनेंट रहे वो इन्फॉर्म्ड रहे। ठीक है, तो ऐसे हम करते हैं मैसेज कंटेक्स्ट, एंड देन इसको आप कुछ भी नाम दे सकते हो, सिंपल मैसेज कंटेक्स्ट या कुछ भी बोल सकते हो। ये जो मैसेज कंटेक्स्ट होता है, दिस कंटेन्स द information about the channels who are using the lightning message services। ओके, तो इसकी डेफिनेशन पे अभी फोकस मत करो, अभी इसको फोकस करो कि यूज कैसे करना है। डेफिनेशंस तो अभी कहीं से भी देख करके मैं तुम्हें पढ़ करके बता दूंगा, बट फोकस करो कि अभी इसे यूज कैसे करना है। ठीक है, तो हमें इसे यूज कैसे करना है वो मैं बताता हूँ पहले। लेट्स डू द सिमिलर थिंग ऑन द सब्सक्राइबर कंपोनेंट एज वेल फर्स्ट। ओके, तो हम वी हैव टू इंपोर्ट दिस Same thing in the subscriber. And apart from this, this is a subscriber component. So we have to import the subscribe and same message context from lightning / message service. Okay. And similar to this, similar to your publisher component, you have to wire your message context, and you can name it message context. That's it. Okay. Let me save this. Okay, we have to import the wire as well. We have to import the wire as well. Okay. अभी अपने publisher, and now we have publisher and subscriber both have imported the publish and message context, which is a kind of mandatory thing to do. Now, what we are going to do is that whenever we click on this, publish data, this data should be passed from the publisher component to the subscriber component, but subscriber component has not subscribed for it yet. Publisher has the code to publish. Publisher also does not have code to publish right now, and subscriber has not subscribed to it. So first we will make sure that the publish handler has some code which will publish data. Okay. So what we are going to do, publishing is very simple. We can just write down publish. Okay. And inside that, we can pass the data and whatever we are trying to send. Okay. So this will contain three things. This will contain the current message context. This will contain the name of your channel. Okay. So your name of your channel is sample message channel. And this will contain the data you want to pass. Okay. So which data you want to pass? You want to pass this dot data to send. Okay. That's a pretty simple, data code to pass. Okay. All right. And to bit structurize it, we can use it like this. Does it expect the message to be given in the message format? This dot. That's how you're gonna send it. See, because this message field is the field you created in your Lightning message channel. Okay, so you will send the data with the help of this field. Okay, and in the receiver you will receive it from the message itself. This will pass an object kind of data. Okay, and there you will unload it or receive what you are getting. So you are passing this. You can change the name of this like message to or anything, message to send, and it will change the value here like message to send. But whenever you will receive it, how you're going to receive it? Message to send dot message. Okay, so that is how you're going to receive it. For now, just to remove the confusion, I'm going to name it message and will show you with this, but you are free to play around with this. So this is how you're going to send the message, but let us also add couple of console statements, because I'm not 100% sure that this will work in the first attempt. So we need to console a couple of things as well. So here I will be simply writing publishing the event. And also I will be writing console.log message to us, and in this I can stringify, because this is an object. I am going to use json.stringify to get it as a string. Otherwise, in the result, I will get object, which will not make much sense. Okay. All right. So our publisher is ready, and you can see that publishing is very easy. You just, here you are not passing any data about who will be the subscriber. So you will be publishing any component in the page, in the same page can subscribe for it. Okay, that component need not to be the parent of it or the child of it. They are unrelated components. Okay, so this is the publisher. Now the couple of similar things we need to do in the subscriber as well. So how the subscriber receive the data is a bit different. So what happens is that in the connected callback, you will write down this dot handle subscribe method, and then you will write down the code for handle subscribe. So this is how you are going to. So you're saying that whenever this component loads, you will call the handle subscribe. Okay. And let me first write down the console.log. Okay, and then let us write down the code for it. So it will say this dot subscription. This dot subscription equals to, this is the method, subscribe method. Okay, which will take again this dot message context and your channel name, and the actual message you get. So promise. So here you can say that this dot data received equals to message dot message, because message was the inner message and you have got message as a object. So inside that message you have message as a object. Okay, so you can play around the names as per your wish. Okay, but make sure that you use message here and you use message here, because this is the field you have in your message channel. Okay, and other things you can play around. So you can have this as a different value, but this should be message. Okay, so okay, let us also add couple of console here to see if we have actually received the proper data or not. This is the message. And then your front end is publishing the data, is showing the data. All right, I think we have done enough on the component. Let's go back to Salesforce and see if we face any issue when putting those in the page. Okay, so we will go to sales home page and edit the page. We will remove these components. Okay, let's publisher component here and subscriber component here. Okay, and save this. Let's go back to the page and see if it is working or not. Okay, so we have entered the data. When the moment we click on publish data, it is supposed to be copied here in the subscriber component. So I'm clicking it and I'm able to get it. Okay, now let's change it to, let's say, Yogesh, publish it, and subscriber is able to get this data. Now you know that publisher component and subscriber component are not in any hierarchy. They are two different components, and they are the components which are not related to each other directly, or they are also not siblings and all. So they are completely different components, but we were able to pass data from a publisher to the subscriber. Okay, I will provide you code for this, and everybody need to try this, because without trying this, you will not be able to tell this in an interview, how it actually works. There will be so many cross questions, and if you will not try it on your own, it will be really difficult for you to explain that in interview. Now, see, here, this is the scenario one where publisher and subscriber both were the Lightning Web component, but LWC, Salesforce has made it in a way that you can communicate between the cross component types as well. Like publisher could be LWC and subscriber could be Aura component, or subscriber could be VF page, or publisher could be VF page and subscriber could be both Aura component or Lightning Web component, or publisher could be Aura component and subscriber could be VF page and LWC component. So to make sure that we are easily able to communicate between Aura component, VF pages, and Lightning Web component, we use the Lightning Messages channel. Okay, so this Lightning Message Services not only provides compatibility between Lightning Web components and communication between unrelated Lightning Web components, but it also provides a communication channel between VF pages, Aura components, and the Lightning Web components. So for if you have to do it in the Aura component, then you have to, there is a tag lightning message channel, then you have to use that. And I have written these things in my notes as well. You can go through that. All right, and you should be able to get more idea, but the actual help you will get is by doing this via a practical example, which I highly recommend you to try. I think Apex Hours has a very good blog on this. You can try that. Yeah, this will work from parent to child and child to parent as well. If you want to do it, I mean, just for the sake of answering interview question, yes, it will work. And we should be able to pass data from child to parent and parent to child. Okay, but it will treat them as an unrelated component. So this blog is really good. It will tell you how do you create Lightning Message channel, what is the syntax of it, and then how you're going to deploy it. And then it is showing you how you create a visual force page and how you do that. Okay, so all those things you can do. So in the VF page, in the VF pages, they have created two different APIs, published message channel, and I think subscribe message channel. These are the two different APIs Salesforce has created just for the VF pages, so that you can use the LMS in the VF pages as well. Okay, and similarly, you can also do this with the help of Aura component. So there is a video as well available. I'm going to ping the link in the chat so that you guys can go through. See, this is a topic which is advanced topic. So unless you have already covered the parent to child and child to parent communication, then only go for this topic. Okay, before that, your parent to child and child to parent concept should be clear. Okay, if those are not clear, then you should go for those topics and go for practicing on those topics. Okay, practicing is extremely important, guys, because when you practice, you will have n number of questions on those things, and you will try to find the answers of those questions. And when you actually do those things practically in your dev work, then you get a different level of confidence. If you just read it, you will forget it after a day or two. So don't go for theoretical reading on these topics. These topics requires you to do the practical thing. Okay, so try to do the practical things, and then you will be able to answer more confidently. Okay, now I am going to open the. See, there are other topics as well, like navigation services and how do we use the toast notification and all, but those are easy topics. I want you guys to practice on your own, but any questions we get from those topics, we will try to cover that. So this PPT contains a lot of questions, and everybody told me that this covers everything, so we will try to go through that. Okay, but we will skip the easier questions on which we have already spent time. What is LWC? LWC is a client-side JavaScript framework that built on you will be able to tell this. I have no doubt. Anything related to the difference between LWC and Aura component, and why LWC came into existence, the history behind it, and why LWC is better than Aura component, we have covered on our topic, day one on the Lightning Web component, and that was a very detailed discussion. So I'm very hopeful that you guys will be able to tell the answer of all such questions. And trust me, those are also very important questions, because when we start the LWC, those questions, are the initial questions which an interviewer put in your interview. And if you are able to answer them properly, then only he will go ahead and ask the couple of deeper questions. So it is very important that you begin on a very positive note and able to answer those questions. So those questions are easy. What are the advantage of using LWC? Why Salesforce launch LWC? We have covered. In how many ways we can create Lightning components in Salesforce, Aura component and Lightning Web component. Can Aura component and Lightning Web component can coexist together? Yes, Lightning Web components and Aura components can coexist together, and you can put a Lightning Web component inside an Aura component, but vice versa is not possible. So inside a Lightning Web component, you cannot put the Aura component, obviously, because Lightning Web component is a more advanced thing, and Aura components require the Aura framework in between, so that is not supported by the Lightning Web component framework. So you can.
Hi, sir.
This is also. Hi,
Sir,
hello.
and what about the Visual Force? Visual Force के केस में हम कर सकते हैं क्या कि LWC को Visual Force में हम कॉल कर लें?
LWC को visual, you want to put the LWC code inside the Visual Force page, right?
Yes, just like Aura component में जैसे हम कॉल करते हैं.
डायरेक्टली नहीं कर सकते हैं. वही लाइटनिंग आउट का फीचर यूज करके तुम Aura component डाल सकते हो, और उसके अंदर आपको अगर LWC डालना है तो डालो, बट डायरेक्टली आई डोंट थिंक दैट इज पॉसिबल. ओके, डायरेक्टली तो Aura भी नहीं डाल सकते VF पेज में, LWC तो दूर की बात है. ठीक है, हेलो विकास, was this your question? हेलो.
या सॉरी सर, मैं म्यूट पे बोल रहा था.
हाँ.
हाँ,
ठीक है.
एक्चुअली इंटरव्यू, हाँ ठीक है, ये इंटरव्यू का क्वेश्चन था. जस्ट लाइक हम Aura कंपोनेंट के अंदर LWC कॉल कर लेते हैं, सो कैन वी आल्सो कॉल एंड Visual Force? ठीक है.
ठीक है. And can we create LWC component in developer console? No, we cannot create. Currently, our developer console is not capable to give the flexibility to create LWC component directly in the editor. So we have to, in the developer console, we have to use the VS Code or some code editor to do that. Okay. Code builder, web-based ID and installation is not required. The code builder is something which you can directly open in the web, but I think this is still in beta. Explain about Lightning Web Components bundle. You all know very well. HTML, JS, and Meta XML files are mandatory files, and CSS and SVG files are the optional file. If you want it, you can create it. But if you are creating a CSS file or SVG file, these files cannot be blank. So you cannot have, like you have created a CSS file, but then put it as a blank CSS. So you will not be able to deploy. So if you are creating a CSS file, make sure that you need that CSS file, because you have to put some text in it in order to deploy it. Otherwise, you will not be able to deploy it. Okay. And same goes with the SVG files as well. If you need it, then only you will create it. Otherwise, you will not create it. And sometimes they ask the full form of the SVG. So it is a scalable vector graphics and cascading style sheets. This is the full form of the CSS. See, the full forms and all those are questions will mostly be asked from the freshers only, not from the senior people. Okay. Explain the meta properties. Meta properties, see, most of the time, I mean, there will be an API version tag, there will be an is exposed tag. If it is true, then your page will be exposed. Then we have the master label. If you provide the master label, then this label will be visible when you go to Lightning page and try to add this Lightning Web Component. Instead of your Lightning Web Component page's name, LWC name, instead of that, your master label will be visible there. So you can add your master label, and then you will be able to add your Lightning Web Component page. So there was one question as well, like how can we change the name of our Lightning Web Component, and how we get it on the Lightning page or the home page or record page. So with the help of master label, we can define a different label for our LWC. There could be a scenario where your Lightning Web Component, possesses a different structure and different naming convention, whereas the end users does not understand, or admins don't understand those structure. So then you will use master labels to make sure that admins are able to get the user-friendly names, so that they will be able to add that LWC in your Lightning record page. And your LWC actual name could be, API name could be different. Okay. Then we have targets. Targets basically tell you that where you are going to expose that particular Lightning Web Component. We can set multiple targets. Okay, and we can, depending on what are the different targets we have assigned here, on those places only your Lightning Web Component will be visible. Rest of the places your Lightning Web Component will not be accessible. You will not get an option to add it there. Okay, so let's say if I try to add this particular Lightning Web Component in the community, I will not be able to do that, because this has not been exposed to the community. The target has not been set for the community. So this page will only be available on the record page, app page, and home page. Okay. And then there are different and see, within that target config for the Lightning record page, this has set the objects on which objects record page you can define this page. So that is what you can also set, but most of the time you will not be needing. But yes, when you build a scalable solution for a big company and all, they want to be very specific about where you can put a particular Lightning Web Component. So you need to take care of that. And yeah, so see, I don't think Meta XML file you will need to explain very much in detail, but if you get a question, you can say that it contains the different tags for the different purpose. Couple of major tags are the API version tag, is exposed tag, master label tag, and targets are the most important things which we talk about in the Meta XML file. And targets are the things which we try to control from the Meta XML file. That's it. See, try to explain your answer with confidence that actually you have done this. It's not like something which you know or you have studied. This is something which you have done it. So when you say those things with authority that you have done this, then that makes a different impact rather than just telling it with very low voice and low confidence. If you know something, show your 100% confidence on that particular thing and try to show that in an interview. Okay. Confidence, is a very underrated skill in an interview. If you're saying something with confidence, that makes a different impact. Okay. Can we deploy empty component with CSS? No, we cannot. This is what I was telling you a few seconds ago. Lifecycle hooks, we have covered in detail all the examples. So take the confidence of all those examples and try to explain it properly. Okay. You can go through this flow and you can explain it properly. I expect you, and whenever I'll take your mock, guys, make sure that you have life cycle hook covered very well. Okay, I definitely will ask you the life cycle hook. Okay. See, this is a good example of render method. So render method basically allows us to put a different templates. Okay, if this condition is true, then return this, otherwise return this template. So if you have on the UI, if you have to display a different templates based on certain condition, then you can use the render method and can display the different templates based on different conditions. This is different than if else or conditional rendering, because in the conditional rendering you display or hide a particular section of a page. You do not display or hide it overall template of your page. Here you have an option to provide two different template itself on a particular condition, but in an conditional rendering we hide a particular section of a page, not the entire template. Okay. What are the decorators? We have 3 decorators. You all know that very well. I'm not going to spend time there. Explain wire decorators. Whenever you get wire decorator question, try to explain it very properly. Okay, try to explain it properly and try to, pull the Apex related things as well. Like you have to provide the URI enabled annotations and cacheable equals to 2. You cannot perform any DML in it. You can only just read the data and get that data in the Lightning Web Component JS file so that you can display that data in the HTML file. Whenever you are talking about LWC from Apex, be very specific about when you are talking about the JavaScript file and when you are talking about the HTML file. Because if you connect with the interviewer on these levels, he will be able to understand that, okay, you're talking about the HTML file, you're talking about the UI, you're talking about the JavaScript file, means you're talking about some logic inside the page. Okay, so be very specific too and be very, crystal clear about what information you want to convey. Okay. Imperative versus wire, we have already covered that. Okay, in the imperative, we can perform the DML operations. We need not to use cache, because if you use cache, you will not be able to perform the DML operation. Okay, and on component insert parameter value change. Okay, this is on demand. Imperative is basically an on demand event. So whenever you have to do something on the, am I not sharing my screen? You guys are able to see my, sorry?
Yes, it is visual.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So see, whenever we talk about the imperative, we say that this is an on-demand service. So we use imperative whenever we have to do something on some event occurrence, or let's say on a click of a button, or let's say on a change of a value. Whenever some event happens and we want to perform something after that event occurrence, then we will use the imperative. Okay. Otherwise, if we do not have any such restriction, like do only when we click on this button, then obviously we will use wire. Wire is a better way. Wire is an automatic way, and wire is a preferred way. If you have to choose between imperative and wire, and there is no restriction about either to choose wire or imperative, it is your choice to use wire or imperative, then you will choose wire because it is automatic. Okay, and it is better, and the results are better in the wire service. The results are faster in wire service. You get your page performance will also be improved with the help of wire service. So use wire whenever you have a choice between wire and imperative. Whenever you have a restriction, like you cannot use wire or you have to perform something on occurrence of something, then you will use the imperative. How to refresh wire method record? There is a refresh apex method available there, which you can use, and it will automatically refresh your records you received via wire method. So let's say you periodically want to refresh the results you are getting from the wire method, or let's say you perform something and then after that you want to refresh the make sure that you are refreshing your apex record which you are getting with the wire method. You can use this method inside your code and you will be able to refresh it. But you see, it is automatically refreshed whenever your page or whenever your templates gets loaded again. Your your life cycle looks will be called again, and then it will refresh your page. So if you have any requirement where you are not refreshing your template or not reloading your page, yet you want to refresh it programmatically, then only you will use the refresh apex. Okay. Can we perform DML using wire service, or can we perform DML operations in a cacheable true equals to method? No, we cannot do that. If cacheable equals to true, then the data becomes the read only. We cannot perform any DML operations. Yes, if we call through the anonymous window. I have not checked it. If we call through an anonymous window and if cacheable equals to true, if we can still perform a DML operation or not, but I will check it. Okay, but even if it is possible with the anonymous window, we hardly do that. In a real project, we will not be doing that. So the answer will still remain no. We cannot perform the DML operation if cacheable equals to true. But you guys also can check if this is true or not. Can I use multiple decorators on a single property? No, we cannot use the multiple properties in a single multiple decorators in a single property. So let's say if there is a property which has API annotation, then we cannot use wire with it, or we cannot use the track with it. So we have to be very sure about we cannot do that. Okay, and this can be asked in an interview. Can we use decorators on method? Yes, we have seen that we have used API decorator in a method to make our method public, so that we were able to, when we were covering the communication part from the parent to child, we were accessing the child method. So that was only possible because we used the API decorator with the child method. So yes, this is absolutely possible. Can we fetch data in the connected callback instead of using wire in LWC? Yes, you can fetch the data in the connected callback if you are using imperatively, and you call the method on demand. You call the Apex method on demand, and you will be able to get the data. Okay, but cache, obviously cache will have to be handled by developer, and it will not be very reactive. Okay, so whenever your page loads, connected callback will be called, then this method will be called, which will be calling Apex. Okay, but if your page is not refreshing or not reloading or anything, then this list will not be auto updated. Okay, so let's say you got the 10 accounts. Okay, you got the 10 accounts here, and later on the back end you created another account. This will not fetch that account automatically. Okay. What is the Lightning Data Services? Lightning Data Services is very important, guys. You have to make sure that you are able to explain it properly. Lightning Data Services is a service built on top of user interface API. So you have your database and you have your Lightning Web Component, on which in between on the server side you have user interface API. Lightning Data Service is built on top of that user interface API. This basically gets your Salesforce data. This basically will get you the Salesforce data without writing a single line of code. Okay, and the cherry on the icing on the cake is that it will respect all the CRUD of access and field level security and record level security. So if you have to do all these things manually, it will take ages for you to do that, and you have to write a lot of code to do that. But LDS provides you all those functionalities by default by just single tags like record edit form, record view form, or create a record function, create record adapter. So those are really good. But inside Lightning Data Services, we have two options. We have Lightning based component, which are record edit form, record view form, and record form. And then other one is Lightning based functions and adapters. Okay, so there are various functions and adapters. I have covered them on my notes. Make sure that whenever you have to explain, you have at least 1 or 2 examples handy on your mind where you can explain in and out. Let's say if it is about LDS based function, you can think of create record function and can explain how create record works and how it actually creates record in the database. Similarly, when it comes to the lightning LDS based base function like lightning record form, edit form, and view form, you have to be able to answer like what is the record form, what is a view form and edit form. But not only answer, you should also be able to tell the difference between them, like when we should use which one. Okay, that's the expectation from an interview, is that whenever you are telling about the record forms, you also need to tell that when to use which one. Okay, because if you will not tell, he will ask that. Okay, and he may ask it in a twisted way. So make sure that whenever you get an opportunity to explain something, and if you know that thing, you properly explain that thing. That's the expectation from my side as well, that if I have told you that what are the lightning data services, I want you to explain that thing to me properly. Okay, the more properly you will answer, the more brownie points you will get. Advantages of using lightning data services: there are so many advantages. The major advantage is that you need not to write apex, and it by default takes care of CRUD, record level security, and feed level security. So those are the major advantages. It also increases the performance because there is no back and forth server calls happening again and again. So your page performance will be fast, your data load will be fast. Okay, and cache basically stores the data in the client side itself. So you need not to make again and again server calls to do that. And it by default covers that if, let's say, some data is changed in the backend, it will invalidate the data in the cache, and it will then refetch that data from the database. Okay, and the moment data changes in the backend, it will invalidate that data entry in the cache memory. Okay. All right, what are the LDS based component? There are many LDS based components, and you explain all 3, why we use which one is better than the other. See, there are nothing called this is better than the other one. There are use cases on which we will use lightning record form. There are use cases where we will use edit. Then there are use cases where we will use view. And when we have to choose like which one to use, which one not to use, we have to it depends on our requirement, what we need to do, what we need to display, whether we need to display it on the edit mode or whether we need to display it on the record in the view mode. Okay, in terms of flexibility, lightning record form are the least flexible, and lightning record edit forms are the most flexible one. Okay. Data communication, all right, you already know that parent to child and child to parent, and then unrelated between unrelated components. We have seen lightning message channel. We also have pub sub module, which also works almost similar to what we have done in the lightning message services. So pub sub module is a module which was created by Salesforce, and the code is already available. You need to import that code, and then publisher need to import the publishing related methods, and subscriber need to import the subscriber related methods, and then they can do that. You will be able to get the example of it, but make sure that we use lightning message services even within LWC communication as well, because that is the preferred way to do that. Because if we just use PubSub, you are making sure that your LWC will not be able to talk to VF pager or a component. But in a larger applications which have all those components, we prefer to use LMS, because if in case I need to talk to any Aura component, it will be easier for me to talk to Aura component with the help of lightning message services. Okay, so if you get this in an interview, and if interviewer asks you that what is the need of LMS when we already have the PubSub module, and can't we just use the PubSub module? So you can say that yes, we can surely use the PubSub module if the communication and the component which are in question are only Lightning Web component. But if in case we have even the slightest chances of communicating to outside of Lightning Web component, then it is preferred. I mean, it is necessary to use the LMS because PubSub module will not be able to cross the LWC boundary and will not be able to communicate to Aura component or the VF pages. So if it is only within the LWC, then we have a choice to use PubSub or LMS, but LMS provides an extra functionality. Maybe in future we need to communicate with the Aura component from the same component, then you have to convert those PubSub into LMSs, and that will be a tiring job. So it's better that you think about the scalability from the very beginning. Okay. How to pass data from parent to child, you already know that. How to pass data from child to parent, you already know that. Make sure you do practice on this. Okay. See, now this is the PubSub module related thing. So in the PubSub module, you get these methods: register listener, unregister all, and subscriber also get the subscriber kind of. So here, if you see that this is importing the register listener and unregister all listener from the C/PubSub. So this PubSub is basically a module created by Salesforce, and in your JavaScript files, you need to create a file with name PubSub and copy the code which Salesforce has written for this. So that's how we kind of use the PubSub module. Okay. If you do not use this PubSub module, and if you do not have a file with PubSub name and the code on it, nothing will work on this. Okay. LMS was introduced on winter 20, and still there are companies which are not using it. I mean, they are scared to use LMS as if this is something which will break their systems. But this is a really good thing. We can use, and we can talk between different types of component. All right, how to pass data to grandparent component. See, from child, if you want to pass something to the grandparent, okay, it is recommended to use the event bubbling, because if you use event bubbling, your child need to just bubble the event to the higher order, and then grandparent can subscribe to it, or grandparent can write code to get that. Otherwise, what happens is that from child you will pass to parent, and then from parent you will pass to their parent. So that will be two level of communication. But if you do it with the help of event propagation, then you will directly be using by writing code on the child and the grandparent. Now, the parent in the question will need not to do anything in that case. Okay. So if you have to pass data to multiple level up or down in the hierarchy, we will use the event propagation, and with the help of event bubbling and event captured, you will be able to do that. Okay. See, the bubbles equals to true means you are doing the event bubbling. Composed equals to true means you are doing the event, you are sending that event to the down levels as well. So if you need to do this in the same component, that is also possible. Like you can send to up and down the stream both in a single component. That is also possible. So let's say you have a parent and which has a child, and it also has a parent. So child, parent, and their parent. So from the parent, if you pass some data to the parent, to his parent as well as to his child, that is also possible. Okay. And you can practice this if you want to practice in your own dev and see if it is working or not. All right, what is SLDS? SLDS is Salesforce Sliding Design System, which Salesforce has already provided you. It's a framework which gives you icon, color, fonts, and everything, which makes you, build the applications better. So there are different SLDS classes available, and whenever we build the Lightning Web component, we use them to make our page, better in look and feel. Okay. So SLDS is a kind of huge ocean, and if this basically takes care of the look and feel of your page. If let's say in a page you want to display 3 fields in 3 different columns, you can use the already available classes in the SLDS to do that. Okay, we have not covered much on the CSS part, but obviously you can explore it. This is available in Salesforce. How to use the third-party JavaScript libraries in the Lightning Web Component. Okay, you just need to download the library, whatever it is, and upload it as a static resource. Okay, and use platform resource loader to load script and style in LWC. This is where we have to import our script. Okay. How to check object permission? Need to import the get object info from UI object. And see, this is the LDS based adapter. UI object info API from where you are doing. So you are only able to do because of the Lightning data services. You are able to get the object related information. You are able to get the particular object, and then you will be able to check the permission. Okay. I think this was in beta a couple of months ago. I don't know if it is fully available. How you can create multilingual components in LWC with the help of custom labels. Okay. Yeah, custom labels. See, not only Lightning Web Components, whenever you have to, build something multilingual, you will have to use the custom labels. Custom labels will be translated to different languages, and you can perform you can provide the translation for those different languages in the custom labels. So custom labels are very useful when we have to build the multilingual applications, not only just the component, but itself, application itself. This is a question which they ask a lot: how to get the current user ID in the LWC without Apex. You can just simply import the user ID from Salesforce/user/ID, and you will be able to get the ID of the current user. Okay. There can be multiple operations you want to perform on a page based on which user has logged in. So all those kind of operations can be done by importing user ID, and then you can use this user ID in your page. So if, let's say, current user is system admin, then he will be getting a different set of fields to see. Or let's say if current user is not system admin, then he will get a restricted view of your Lightning Web Component. That is possible. How to get the record ID? If you are already in a record page, if your Lightning Web Component has been exposed in a record page, then you just need to create a record ID variable and decorate it with @API, and you will automatically be able to get the record ID. You need not to do anything else. But the only condition is that you should be in the record page. Okay, if you are on the home page, this will not work. If you are on an app page, this will not work. So this requires you to be on a record page. Okay, you can be a contact record page, it could be account record page. So whatever record page, whichever record page you are on, it will provide the record ID of that particular record. Okay. All right, what is ECMAScript? ECMAScript, you all know, is an international organization which creates the standards for the JavaScript, and make sure that you are very well versed with what is the current ECMAScript version going on. Okay, so this is the other question as well, which is the latest version of ECMAScript. I think this must be updated now. You can check. Okay. And if you want to explore more, you can also see that which are the latest thing released by JavaScript in the latest ECMAScript. Okay. All right. I gave you one course on the Salesforce cast to understand the basics of JavaScript. I hope you all have gone through that, because sometimes in an interview, when it becomes the LWC intensive, they ask a lot of questions from the JavaScripts as well. Okay, and JavaScript itself is a very huge language, and it has a lot of different strings attached. So if you are not very well versed with JavaScript, at least you should know the basics and the JavaScript which you need for the Lightning Web Component. And in an interview, if they ask you, do you know JavaScript, you can say that you know the sufficient JavaScript to work on the Lightning Web Component, not completely from the web development point of view, but from the Lightning Web Component point of view, you understand it. Okay, so they may ask a lot of things in the JavaScript, and you need to make sure that you know the basics of it. So these are the few things you need to make sure you know. Difference between let, var, and constant is very important, and I myself asked this question a lot. Okay, so JavaScript, okay, before ECMAScript 6, there was only one, one data type of all the variables. It was var. Okay, and whatever you need to declare, you will declare it with the var. If you need to declare an object, you will use var. If you need to declare a string, you will use var. If you need to declare a number, you will use var. But after ECMAScript 6, on the ECMAScript 6, they launched the let and const keyword as well. Okay, and these were the data types they said they are promoting, like we should use the let and const instead of var. So what is the difference between let and var is a very important question. Const is something which will define the variables as a constant, and you will not be able to change it throughout your page. Const is very simple, but var and let is something which becomes very important in interview question. So always understand, okay, let is basically the scope of let keyword is local. Okay, within block, the scope of let keyword remains within block, but var is basically is a global scope. It is not just the block scope. So it's a kind, if you declare a variable with the var, that becomes a global variable which will be available throughout your page. But let is basically a keyword which basically used to declare a variable on the local scope. And more on this I can tell you if you want me to cover this on the JavaScript, but this basically the only difference is the scope of it. And because of the scope, you can if you see this example, let's say if you see this example here, on the right hand side, if you see that you have defined a title variable with the let keyword, okay, within the function. Okay, but if you see that let is only defined inside this if statement, so if you try to access it outside of it, you will get an error like this is not defined, this is undefined, because the scope of let is within this particular if statement. It is not available outside it. But if you do it as a var, it will be accessible outside it, outside of this particular block as well, because var is the global scope. So that's the difference. And with this difference, the question comes like when we should use var and when we should use let. Okay, so that is also something which you need to make sure that you know, because they will ask this question. Difference between double equals to and triple equals to, most of the time freshers get these questions. Triple equals to is basically an identity operator which not only checks the value but also checks the data type of it. Okay, so if you these are the examples you can see. If you write 0 equals to false, it will say true if you are using the double equals to operator, because both are the values which false basically means the 0. But because they are different data types, if you use the triple equals to operator, they will say false because their data type is different. The value is same, but the data type is different. That is why it will give you false. Similar to this, if you write 1 equals to 1 in the inverted comma, this will treat them as a same because 1 is equals to 1. But if you write the triple equals to, it will say false because this is a string and this is the number. So the data type is not matching and it will return false. Okay. So that's the basic thing. Difference between event bubbling and event capturing in JavaScript. The event bubbling goes from child to parent, whereas the event capturing goes from parent to child. Okay. Event bubbling is the default behavior. You remember that. Okay. All right. What is the difference between event.stop propagation and event.prevent default? Okay. See, event.prevent default means that it will prevent the default behavior of a particular action. Okay. Let's say you performed an action, you clicked on a button. Okay. And the default behavior of that button is that the moment you click on it, it will close the page. Okay, but you want to change that behavior, you want to modify that behavior. So whenever that action performs, okay, you will write event.prevent default. This prevent default will basically stop the default behavior from happening. Okay, so whenever we have an event happens, and let's say if it has a default behavior attached to it, we will use event.prevent default to stop happening that default behavior. That's it. All right, event.stop propagation basically means that uh, prevents further propagation of the current event in the capturing and bubbling phase. So if we don't want a particular event, to bubble up or to, go up or down in the hierarchy, we will use the event.stop propagation. The moment you write event.stop propagation, this event will be fired. This event will not be propagated to the higher hierarchy. Okay, it will still be here. All right. What is Shadow Dome? My voice is audible, guys? Am I audible enough?
Yes, Mark.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Oh, what a shame. We have only 19 people join. Thank you all for joining. All right. What is Shadow Dome? Okay. See, every page has a default DOM, which is called the document object model. Okay, it's a memory representation of our HTML. Okay, and Shadow DOM is the DOM which is a kind of a DOM inside a DOM. So let's say you have a tree which has a different nodes. Okay, and in one of the node there is another subtree attached to it. Okay, and that subtree will have its own node on itself. Okay, so that subtree is nothing but a shadow dome. Okay, so why we use shadow dome is because so that for that subtree we can provide a different properties, we can provide a different kind of configuration, and whatever we do on the main page or whatever we do on the main tree will not be propagated to or transferred to the shadow dome. Shadow dome will have its own set of properties, its own set of CSS, its own set of functionalities. Okay, so whenever we have a requirement where we need to have a separate section on a page which will not follow what we are doing for the entire page, it will have its own set of things, then we will use the shadow dome. Okay, shadow dome is a dome inside shadow dome is an inner dome inside a particular dome. Okay, and by default whatever you do for the whole page will not be propagated to your shadow dome. Okay, if you see, custom event don't propagate through shadow dome boundaries. Okay, so whatever you do for your shadow dome will happening for your shadow dome only, it will not be propagated to the main page, and similarly whatever you do on the main page will also not be crossed across the boundary of your shadow dome. Okay, shadow dome is a very important concept. Okay, if you want to understand it more, or if you want to know how you can attach a shadow dome in a particular page or something, I have briefly covered in on my notes like how you can attach a shadow dome on your page. But if you want to understand it more, I have given you that Salesforce cast link. You can go through that, or in general this is a very important JavaScript concept. So even if you put something on the YouTube like what is shadow dome, and try to follow a good YouTube channel like Code with Harry or Akshay Sani's channel, then you will be able to understand what Shadow Dome is. Okay, but Shadow Dome does not have much relevance in the LWC context. That is why we have not covered it in much detail. But in an interview, you may expect a question from this. So you should know it from the web development point of view. All right. What are import and export in LWC? Import basically means that if we want to use something available outside of it and want to use it here, then we will import that thing. Export is that to make sure that someone else's or some other components are able to use this functionality. So we will expose it. Okay. What is a utility module and how we can create it? Utility module, or just like the utility classes we create in Apex, where we use these classes on the multiple places and multiple. Let's say we created a constant class in Apex and we use that constant class throughout our test classes and all. So utility modules are also the modules which we can use in the multiple places. Okay, and these are the modules which basically provides the reusable functionality. Okay, can be used to share common code among multiple components already created. Common. See, what kind of utility components we can create? We can create utility components to display a data table, or to achieve the pagination, or to display the toast notification. So these are kind of common utility components you can create. They will not have any HTML file. They will just have the JavaScript file, because they mostly work on the logic part. And let's say you have to provide the pagination functionality on multiple objects in multiple places. You will create one component which will achieve the pagination for you logic wise, and then you will keep on using that code again and again, instead of again creating pagination for every component. Like for task, you create pagination; for contact, you create pagination. So instead of creating it for multiple objects, you can create one and reuse it again. And Salesforce also recommend you to do that. What is the spread operator? This again is the JavaScript concept. Basically, it converts an array into the individual element. Okay. So you can practice it a lot in the JavaScript. If you want to learn more on the JavaScript on the YouTube, you can follow a couple of channel. Like one is Code with Harry, which is my absolute favorite. Code with Harry is a very good channel. If you want to learn anything, I mean, not Salesforce, but other technologies and all, if you see his playlist, he has given so many things to the community. Like this is insane. And JavaScript, he also has a JavaScript playlist. Okay, you will be able to find it somewhere in his channel. Okay, and not only JavaScript, yeah, this is the JavaScript playlist, and that is also available in Hindi and English, whichever you are comfortable with, and you will be able to learn it. So it has, I think, 103 videos, which covers almost everything. And I don't think you need that much in detail for the Lightning Web Components, but it is always good to know these things in the JavaScript. I also have my JavaScript notes which I'll provide you. But if you want to learn it, it has around 100 videos which you obviously need to go through. So it will take around a month if you want to start from today. And that's a really good channel. I mean, I feel amazed with how much hard work these guys put in for different technologies. Like they're telling us more than what we have learned in whole 4 years of engineering. All right. So from here, guys, we will cover next session. I think all these other questions also we will cover in the next session, and we will cover the navigation services as well. I think that will be the last session on the Lightning Web Component, and we will start integration after that. Okay. I will stop sharing.